After going through my old PlayStation games for my PS2, I came across my old PS2 discs and found my old demo discs I used to get from stores here and there. Now, this put me on a whole rabbit hole where I wanted to look at all PlayStation demo discs that were ever made out of pure nostalgia, and I ended up coming across this game through those videos discussing many of these. I've seen many videos discussing this as a very well known demo that many people had on their PS1s growing up. So it got me curious, and then I proceeded to binge lots of videos playing through this game, Intelligent Qube. So today I thought it'd be fun to do a deep dive and do a deep look at the story, creation, and history of PlayStation's Intelligent Qube. So let's jump in. I.Q started off as a simple image that popped into the mind of Masahiko Sato, a professor at the Tokyo University of the Arts. An idea to create an experience that tested and showed what a game truly is at its core, about finding that right balance, but with a lot of grace and a style to it. After discussing the idea with a few game artists, PlayStation, overhearing from some game developers, decided to greenlight the idea as a cross-promotion with the Tokyo University of Arts, in order to push young aspiring game developers and to help push and show what the PlayStation was truly capable of, that it could create more than just games, but can also power experiences. So the race was on, and with the help of art director Norio Nakamura, the game started being made in July of 1996. Let's see how Sato's image came out from his head to game. When I.Q first started development, it was way more different and way more complicated than what ended up being finished. In the original plans for the game, in addition to just cubes, there was also supposed to be blocks with more complex shapes, like ones that were 2 stories high, or ones that were more flat and oblong. However, it didn't take Sato long to realize all this did was complicate and make the game way too complex, which ended up turning the game incomprehensible. The problem was that once the blocks became too complex in shape, players were no longer able to predict how they would move. So once it was decided to drop that idea and to just make them squares and that's it ended up fixing the problem, as squares are much more easier to predict in movement and are easier to stop. That became the ticket to discovering the gameplay of I.Q. There was also some other ideas where he also wanted a few other characters and even a dog enemy you might have to deal with and face. Here's a picture of that now, but this was also dropped to keep the game to its core simplistic and fun. Sato used the basic rules of tic-tac-toe's simplicity of the 3x3 board, with players alternating between O's and X's to help him simplify and finish the rules to I.Q's gameplay. But that was just the start. Sato said that the levels were put together by himself and the art director Nakamura. Sato would think of and create many different puzzles for the game by writing each one out on paper first. thinking them through and how they would work and how they would be to play. He would then give names to certain block patterns to help classify them when putting the puzzles together. There was the wraparound, the courtroom, and the crab, as a few examples of what he would name them. Some of those patterns would be based on inspirations that he would get sometimes. For example, the block pattern courtroom was imagined as the human character being smack dab in the middle of a number of blocks, so it looked like he was getting judged in a trial. Sato said this part of the game's development was incredibly fun for him, and he never saw it as a burden, which helped get the game wrapped up and finished and released in 1997. When it came to how the music of I.Q came to be, Sato said he wanted something like the Beatles or Mozart. Really. Music that is appreciated even today and are timeless classics, which, in my opinion, I think he nailed it. The music of I.Q has this beautiful yet unique tone to it that makes it feel like you're in another world fighting against an unknown force as you fight to stay afloat from falling in this random purgatory, but at the same time peaceful, like you're just relaxing with a fun puzzle. And was always one of my favorite parts of this game. No joke, play some of the soundtracks for yourself and you will know what I mean. It is genuinely just beautiful to listen to. I.Q didn't really do bad, it actually sold really well. Well, for a puzzle game that is, selling a total of 750,000 copies on its release, and by the end of 1997, and many gaming outlets gave the game fine to great reviews, praising the game's hard-to-master gameplay and music, with the only complaints being that it didn't have a two-player mode, which makes sense, this would actually be really fun two players. So it did good enough to get two sequels, I.Q Final and I.Q Remix Plus, with a spin-off PSP game known as I.Q Mania. Until finally, I guess the idea turned old and Sato decided to go back to his work in advertising and teaching, all the way back to the arts. If you were to ask Sato about the whole thing, he would say that visually, the game within its tone was almost exactly the same as the vision he had in his head all those years ago, and he wouldn't change a thing about it, for he truly made what he wanted to make, and had his vision completed, to him at least. I really enjoyed I.Q. Yes, it can be real confusing and hard at first, but it is so surreal and creative and has such its own unique tone that I can't help but love it for that. And will always remember games like these. The games I always remember and have always been favorites of mine are the games that chose to be unique and different and do more of its own wild thing. Well, anyways, that was the story of Intelligent Qube on the PS1. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a video that I, no joke, wrote last month and had basically already finished, so I decided to wrap it up and release it because my next mini doc is a really big project that I'm putting a lot into. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And now, before we end up this video, I would like to just leave you with this last quote from Intelligent Qube's head developer himself, Sato. See you guys, and hope to see you next time.